One kidnapping changed everything. Carter is gone. Rob Will is dead. Mariano now has more control than ever before. And Beth and Rip are no longer fighting to protect a ranch, they are fighting to save their family. But here's the biggest surprise. The latest updates surrounding Dutton Ranch Season 2 suggest that the next chapter could be even darker than anything we've seen so far. Could the first trailer already be closer than fans expected? And when will Season 2 finally arrive? Today, we're breaking down everything we know about the possible release date, the trailer, and why Season 2 could completely change the future of Dutton Ranch forever. Why Season 2 will begin with total chaos. The Season 1 finale left almost every major character in a dangerous position, and that is exactly why I believe Season 2 will waste no time throwing us straight back into the action. Unlike many shows that slowly build momentum after a finale, Dutton Ranch has already created the perfect setup for an explosive opening episode. The biggest reason is Carter. His kidnapping changes everything. Until now, Beth and Rip have always been able to think carefully before making their next move. Even when facing dangerous enemies, they stayed calm because they knew rushing into a fight usually makes things worse. But this situation is completely different. This time, it is personal. Carter is family. That means every decision Beth and Rip make will be driven by emotion instead of strategy. And that is exactly what Mariano wants. Throughout Season 1, Mariano proved that he is not the kind of villain who relies only on violence. He studies people, he understands what they love, what they fear, and what makes them lose control. Kidnapping Carter was not just about gaining leverage, it was about forcing Beth and Rip into making mistakes. That is a dangerous game, because when people stop thinking clearly, they become easier to manipulate. I think Season 2 will begin with Beth and Rip desperately searching for any clue that leads them to Carter. Every hour that passes increases the pressure. Every wrong decision gives Mariano more time to strengthen his position. At the same time, Mariano is likely preparing for something much bigger than simply holding Carter hostage. Remember, many of his trusted men were killed during the final battle of Season 1. That was a huge loss. Someone like Mariano is not going to rush into another war before rebuilding his network. Instead, he will probably use fear, negotiation, and psychological pressure while quietly putting new pieces into place. That makes him even more dangerous. A patient enemy is often far harder to defeat than an angry one. Then there is Joaquin. His future may become one of the most interesting storylines of the entire season. By killing Rob Will, Joaquin crossed a line that cannot be erased. Even if nobody immediately discovers the truth, carrying that secret will slowly begin affecting every decision he makes. We already saw that Joaquin struggled with guilt. Season 2 could push that guilt even further. Imagine trying to lead a ranch built on a murder that nobody knows about. Every conversation becomes uncomfortable. Every question feels like an accusation. Every unexpected visitor creates panic. Secrets have a way of destroying people from the inside. That is why I believe Joaquin's biggest battle will not be against Beth and Rip. It will be against himself. Meanwhile, Oriana may become the emotional center of the story. Within a very short time, she lost her father while also discovering that she is pregnant. That is an unimaginable amount of pain for one person to carry. She will need someone she can trust. The problem is that the people closest to her may be hiding the biggest secrets. If Joaquin continues pretending he had nothing to do with Rob Will's death, every conversation between him and Oriana becomes filled with dramatic tension. The audience will know the truth. Oriana will not. That kind of storytelling creates suspense without needing constant action. Every emotional scene suddenly carries the possibility that everything could fall apart. Then there is Bula. By the end of Season 1, she had almost nobody left. She lost Mariano's trust. Everett turned his back on her after learning the truth about the drug operation. Her entire world collapsed in just a few days. That leaves her with two possible paths. She can finally help Beth and Rip bring Mariano down, or she can allow anger to consume her and become even more dangerous than before. Personally, I think Season 2 will explore both sides of her character. For the first time, Bula has nothing left to protect except herself. That kind of desperation often pushes people toward choices they would never have made before. One thing is becoming increasingly clear. Almost every major character is now carrying some kind of secret. Mariano is hiding his next move. Joaquin is hiding a murder. Bula is hiding years of betrayal. Beth and Rip are hiding the emotional pain caused by Carter's kidnapping. Those secrets are eventually going to collide, and when they do, nobody will escape without consequences. Now, let's talk about the biggest question every fan is asking. When can we actually expect the first official trailer? The series has already been renewed for Season 2, which is fantastic news for fans. However, production changes behind the scenes mean filming is expected to begin later than originally planned. Because of that, I think the first teaser trailer will likely arrive only after filming is well underway, giving viewers their first real look at the darker direction of the new season. If that happens, the trailer probably won't focus on revealing major spoilers. Instead, it will build suspense. Quick glimpses of Carter, Beth and Rip preparing for war, Mariano reminding everyone that he is still in control, and one final shot that leaves fans asking even more questions than before. If the creators follow that approach, Season 2 may already have one of the most suspenseful trailers the series has ever released, setting the stage for a season where nobody is truly safe. Mariano's next move could be his most dangerous yet. If there is one character who completely changed the direction of Dutton Ranch in the season finale, it has to be Mariano. Every time he appeared on screen, he proved that he was always thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead of everyone else. While other characters reacted to problems, Mariano was creating them. That is exactly why I believe Season 2 will make him even more dangerous. At first, many fans expected Mariano to launch an all-out attack after losing so many of his men. That would certainly make for exciting television, but I actually think he is far too smart to make that mistake. Mariano knows he cannot win a war by rushing into another fight. He has already seen what Beth and Rip are capable of. He knows they are willing to risk everything for the people they love. Instead of attacking with bullets, I believe his next weapon will be fear. Think about Carter for a moment. Carter is much more than a hostage. He is Mariano's biggest advantage. As long as Carter remains in his hands, Beth and Rip cannot act freely. Every decision becomes more complicated because one wrong move could put Carter's life in danger. That completely changes the balance of power. Normally, Beth and Rip would hunt Mariano without hesitation. Now they have to think twice before every step. That hesitation is exactly what Mariano wants. The longer he controls the situation, the more time he has to rebuild everything he lost. And I do not think rebuilding his criminal network will be difficult. Power always attracts people. The moment others hear that Mariano is still standing after everything that happened, many will want to work for him again. Some will join because of money, others because of fear. Either way, Mariano could return even stronger than before. But I also think he has a much bigger goal than simply rebuilding his organization. He wants control of the Tin Pedal Ranch. After Rob Will's death, the future of that ranch has become incredibly uncertain. On paper, everything may appear simple, but in reality, there are too many people with different interests. Oriana is carrying unimaginable grief. She is also preparing to become a mother. The last thing she wants is another war. Walken, on the other hand, is carrying a secret that could destroy everything if it ever comes out. Every time Oriana looks at him, he will be reminded of what he did. That guilt is not going to disappear. In fact, I think it will grow stronger with every episode. People can hide the truth from others. It is much harder to hide it from themselves. I would not be surprised if Walken slowly starts questioning Mariano's leadership. Right now, Mariano looks like the strongest man in the room, but even the strongest leaders begin to lose control when the people closest to them stop believing in them. That is why I think one of Season 2's biggest surprises could be tension inside Mariano's own family. Imagine Walken asking Mariano to release Carter, not because he suddenly likes Beth and Rip, but because he wants to ease the guilt that has been haunting him since Rob Will's murder. Would Mariano listen? Personally, I do not think so. Mariano has already shown that emotions never come before business. If Carter gives him leverage, he will keep using Carter, even if it creates conflict with his own son. That could become the beginning of Mariano's downfall. Sometimes the greatest threat does not come from outside. Sometimes it comes from the people standing right beside you. While all of this is happening, Beth and Rip will almost certainly be searching for any weakness they can exploit. The problem is that Mariano rarely leaves obvious weaknesses. That means they will need someone who knows him better than anyone else. And that brings us back to Bula. By the end of Season 1, Bula had lost nearly everything. She lost Mariano's trust. She lost Everett. She lost the life she had spent years protecting. Now she stands completely alone. Ironically, that may make her the most valuable person in the entire story. Nobody understands Mariano's operation better than Bula. She knows how he thinks. She knows who he trusts. She probably knows where he hides his money, his supplies, and even the people who work for him. That information could become Beth and Rip's only real chance to rescue Carter. But there is one huge problem. Can they trust Bula? That is the question I keep asking myself. Yes, Bula has reasons to hate Mariano now, but she has also spent years making dangerous decisions for her own survival. If helping Mariano suddenly becomes the safer option, would she switch sides again? Honestly, I would not completely rule it out. That uncertainty makes her one of the most unpredictable characters heading into Season 2. She could become the hero who helps save Carter, or she could betray Beth and Rip at the worst possible moment. Either outcome feels believable. That is exactly why her storyline has so much potential. Now, let's talk about the trailer. If an official trailer arrives before the new season, I think the creators will focus heavily on Mariano's growing power. Instead of revealing major plot twists, they will likely show short, intense moments that build suspense. A worried Beth, a determined Rip, a frightened Carter, Joaquin struggling with guilt, Bula looking like she has nowhere left to run. And finally, Mariano calmly reminding everyone that this game is far from over. That single message would be enough to tell fans that Season 2 is not simply continuing the story. It is raising the stakes higher than ever before, where every decision carries life-changing consequences, and one wrong move could destroy everything the Dutton family is fighting to protect. The biggest secret of Season 2 may not be Carter. It could be Joaquin. As heartbreaking as Carter's kidnapping is, I actually think there is another storyline that could completely change the direction of Season 2. It is a secret that only a few people know, and if it ever comes out, it could destroy everything Mariano has worked so hard to build. That secret is Joaquin. At the end of Season 1, Joaquin crossed a line that can never be erased. He killed Rob Will to secure the future of the Tin Petal Ranch. On the surface, Mariano got exactly what he wanted. His son now has a clear path toward controlling the ranch. But there is one problem. People who commit terrible acts for someone else rarely stay loyal forever. Eventually, guilt begins to take over. That is exactly what I think Season 2 will explore. Every time Joaquin walks through the ranch, he will remember what happened. Every conversation with Oriana will become more difficult. Every family gathering will remind him of the man whose life he took. The audience already knows the truth. The other characters do not. That creates the perfect kind of suspense, because viewers will constantly wonder if this is finally the moment everything falls apart. Now imagine Oriana trying to move forward after losing her father. She is dealing with grief. She is preparing to become a mother. She is trying to protect the future of her family's ranch. The last thing she expects is that the person standing beside her might be responsible for the greatest tragedy of her life. That emotional conflict could become one of the strongest parts of Season 2. I believe Oriana will slowly begin noticing changes in Joaquin. Maybe he avoids certain conversations. Maybe he becomes nervous whenever Rob Will's death is mentioned. Maybe he starts making mistakes because the pressure becomes impossible to carry. Small details like these often reveal much more than dramatic confessions. The truth has a strange way of finding its own path. No matter how carefully someone hides it, little cracks eventually begin to appear. That is why I think Joaquin's biggest enemy in Season 2 will not be Beth or Rip. It will be his own conscience. Meanwhile, Mariano will continue focusing on one goal: control. Everything he has done so far points toward building complete control over everyone around him. He controls Carter. He controls Joaquin through fear. He tries to control Bula through her past. And he hopes to control Beth and Rip by forcing them into impossible decisions. That strategy works for a while. But history shows us that fear never creates lasting loyalty. Sooner or later, people stop obeying because they are afraid. Instead, they start looking for a way out. That is exactly why I believe cracks will begin forming inside Mariano's own circle. Joaquin may become the first person to question him. Bula may decide she has nothing left to lose. Even people working for Mariano could begin wondering whether following him is still worth the risk. The stronger Mariano believes he has become, the more vulnerable he may actually be. That is one of the oldest mistakes powerful leaders make. They begin believing nobody can stop them. Then they stop noticing the people quietly turning against them. At the same time, Beth and Rip are facing their own emotional battle. Finding Carter is obviously their #1 priority, but rushing straight into Mariano's trap could cost them everything. That means they have to stay patient. And for two people driven by love and anger, patience may be the hardest challenge of all. I think Season 2 will show a different side of Beth and Rip. Instead of relying only on force, they may begin gathering information, following small clues, building alliances, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike, because they know one careless move could put Carter in even greater danger. That slower approach would actually make the story much more intense. Every conversation could hide a clue. Every meeting could become a trap. Every new character might secretly be working for Mariano. That constant uncertainty keeps viewers guessing from episode to episode. Now let's talk about the trailer once again. If the first official trailer truly wants to build excitement without revealing major spoilers, I think it will focus heavily on emotion rather than action. We could see Beth refusing to give up, Rip making a promise that he will bring Carter home, Oriana breaking down as she struggles to accept her father's death, Joaquin standing alone, clearly haunted by the choice he made. Then, just when everything feels quiet, Mariano delivers one cold warning that reminds everyone he is still controlling the game. That single moment would be enough to tell fans that the war is far from over, because the real battle in Season 2 may not be fought with guns. It may be fought with secrets, and the biggest secret of all is one that Mariano believes will stay buried forever. The problem is that secrets never stay hidden forever. Eventually, someone talks, someone makes a mistake, someone loses control. When that happens, Joaquin's entire world could collapse overnight. And the truth behind Rob Will's death may become the spark that turns an already dangerous conflict into a full-scale war, changing the future of Dutton Ranch forever. The trailer could be hiding the biggest twist of Season 2. As more fans wait for the first official trailer, one question keeps coming back to my mind. What if the biggest surprise of Season 2 is not something the trailer shows us, but something it carefully hides? Most trailers are designed to build excitement without revealing the biggest twists. They give viewers just enough information to start making theories while keeping the most emotional moments completely secret. I think Dutton Ranch Season 2 will follow that exact strategy. The trailer will probably remind everyone that Carter is still missing. It may show Beth and Rip preparing for another fight. It may even give us a few quick moments of Mariano looking completely confident. But I believe the real story of Season 2 goes much deeper than Carter's rescue. It is about trust. Season 1 ended with almost every important relationship broken. Beth and Rip are fighting against time. Bula has nobody left standing beside her. Oriana has lost her father and is trying to understand how her life changed so quickly. Joaquin is carrying a secret that could destroy everything. And Mariano believes he has finally gained complete control over everyone around him. The problem is that control built on fear never lasts forever. The more Mariano pushes people, the more likely someone is to turn against him. Personally, I do not think that person will be Beth or Rip. I think it could be someone Mariano trusts. Throughout Season 1, Mariano always stayed one step ahead because everyone around him followed his orders. But Season 2 could begin changing that. Joaquin may start questioning every decision Mariano makes. Bula may realize that helping Mariano only leads to more pain. Even some of Mariano's own men may begin wondering whether following him is worth risking their lives. Fear creates obedience. It does not create loyalty. That difference could become the biggest weakness in Mariano's entire operation. Now let's talk about Beth. I actually think Season 2